I've said it before and I'll say it again. I don't want to believe, I want to know. I don't jump to conclusions, accept something as truth simply because it makes me feel all warm and squishy inside. To be blunt, I am a skeptical bastard. And because I rely upon empiricism when evaluating this objective reality we're all stuck in, wandering around like ants in an ant farm, this does not make me closed-minded. Not at all. My mind is open for the best possible explanation, not the one I want to be true. I start from the position, I don't know, let's find the truth, instead of, I believe, so it is the truth. People who believe from the very beginning don't learn much in the long run, because if you already know, then why do the research? I think they're afraid that if they go searching, digging, the whole framework of their belief system might come tumbling down. You probably heard the phrase, the best way to become an atheist is by reading the Bible. But sometimes shit happens that makes you go, what the fuck? And one of the most profound experiences of my life was one of those what the fucks. More than once I've spoken about this experience. That is, my encounter with Soter. Since my last video on the topic, I've done some research to learn a little more about Soter. But first, let me recap as to what happened. In the early part of 2015, while sick with the flu, I had the most intense fever dream, one of those that seemed more real than reality. I dreamt I was watching a documentary on a large television, and there on the screen was a rocky mountain peak, cliffs and great boulders, wind blowing, the cloud-covered sky slate gray. And there amongst the jagged rocks was a battered wooden cart. It was pulled by a team of goats, dead goats, reanimated, rotted flesh hanging, eyes glazed, mouth stretched tight in a perpetual grin of malice. And in the back of that cart stood a figure in a gray robe. Protruding from within the robe, where a neck should be, was instead a wrist, and at the end of the wrist was a claw-like hand, or talon, clutching a head. The claws like a hood around the head. And upon that head was a face, neither male or female, blank and serene. Its eyes and mouth were closed and stayed closed, even as that androgynous being spoke. For some unknown reason, I knew this was the same entity that had visited me before, over and over, in other dreams that I had had. Dreams about a shadowy entity that stood at the foot of my bed. But this time, I could see it fully. Then a name came across the TV screen. Soter. I woke up saying the word over and over. Now, a couple weeks after that, I was watching a video on Gnostic philosophy. Being interviewed was a woman who had written a book on Dionysus, and she referred to him as Soter. Had I read the word Soter before and buried it deep in my subconscious to have it resurface in my dreams? Now, not long after that, I had another dream where I was visited by Hitler, and he was begging me to get in touch with Soter so he could ask him for advice. I told him to go fuck himself, that Soter only spoke to me. Now, doing some research, I've learned that the word Soter derives from the ancient Greek meaning the one who saves, literally savior. Soter was the personified spirit or daemon of safety, preservation, and deliverance from harm. Also, in the Orphic hymns, Soter was identified with Zeus. And in Hebrew mythology, Soter was one of the highest princes of the seventh heaven. All the other angels must pass through him in order to enter into and leave the divine presence. He also serves as a prosecuting angel on the throne of divine judgment, he who stirs up the fire of God. And in Gnostic lore, he is said to be another name for God. Now, all this can be interpreted as my psyche communicating with me, sending me symbolic messages as the subconscious does. But this was more profound than any simple dream. Since then, it feels as though a conduit has opened up in my psyche that had been closed before, making me more receptive to what's going on inside. People want to believe the gods and monsters, angels and demons are real. And after my experience with Soter, I know they are real. They are alive, surviving in that vast, endless universe that Carl Jung hypothesized was a real place. That is the collective unconscious.